Good day, this is Angeline Rivera of ABM 122 discussing our position paper about the legalization of abortion in the Philippines. Abortion is a time-relevant topic that has not been discussed for a long time in the Philippines. A huge number of people and churches are against the idea of abortion. Most of the Filipino people are strictly religious. That is why they are against the idea of abortion as they believe that the unborn cells are a gift from God. As to respect the opinion of majority in the Philippines, abortion is considered a crime and illegal. I, as an individual, believes that abortion is not a crime and it will never be a crime, as abortion is just a removal of clump of cells and not a life. I have several reasons as to why abortion should be legalized here in the Philippines. First, abortion is a removal of clump of cells and not a life. If the unborn cells is considered a life, then men should be prevented from ejaculating their sperms as considered a life and ejaculating them would be considered a murder, right? Second, not all has an access to contraceptions and they're not bound to work 100% of the time. According to World Health Organization, the failure rate of the typical use of condoms is 15%, whilst the other forms of contraceptives is 1 to 4% failure rate. Third, the poverty rate and the number of orphans in the Philippines is huge. According to the Philippines News Agency, the poverty rate of the Philippines is 19.8%. This means that 19.8% of Filipino people live below the national poverty line. According to the United Nations Children's Rights and Emergency Relief Organization, the number of orphans in the Philippines that are considered abandoned and neglected were 1.8 million, and that were only in 2018. How much more in 2021 knowing that the 15 to 19 years old Filipino teens has begun childbearing? Fourth, women should have the choice whether to abort the fetus or not, because no questions. Everyone should have the rights to practice their own freedom of choice, right? Regardless of gender. These four reasons that I said are more than enough to consider the legalization of abortion here in the Philippines. To be honest, we should not care about the unborn cells with no life, right? Rather than caring about the unborn cells that has no life, we should care about the lives of the Filipino children that are abandoned and neglected, and the children who grew up with no parents that will love, care, and support them. We Filipinos should be open minded with the idea of legalization of abortion in the Philippines. Many women will be gone if abortion in the Philippines is not legalized, as they may resort to unsafe methods of abortion that may harm their body, and constantly it may be led up to death. That is why we should legalize it. The practice of freedom to choose must not be selective, and everyone should have the rights to choose regardless of our gender. And we all must be aware that not everyone can afford to raise a child, and adopting a child are not promised to secure a good life as they grew up, right? The Philippines needed to legalize the abortion here in the Philippines. Do you have to wait for more years to see the much visible effects of not legalizing the abortion here in the Philippines? That is all. Thank you.